And welcome back to the Best Damn Nerd Show. James alongside John and Chris Davis, or just Davis, whatever. As we are winding things down here, and that was a wild, last segment, but here we are.
Really got away from us.
It really did. But let's reset, Nerdosphere. Ready to bring you back in. And let's talk about something a little bit more tangible. We're not talking about what heroes do. We're talking about what villains do. We're talking about the Disney Plus series Loki. So no wonder all those female MCU fans just love Loki and Tom Hiddleston, because he's not a hero. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's talk episode 2 of the Disney Plus series Loki. But Davis, you requested a little bit of a primer for what we thought about episode 1. And overall, I think the standout in the positive realm from episode 1, and John, I think you would agree, is the performances of Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson. Their chemistry together is good.
Yep.
I think the overall aesthetic of the show is good. The sort of Mad Men, Hitchhiker's Guide type aesthetic we liked.
Yes.
Overall, plot though, incredibly slow. Not a ton happened. I think it was kind of boring at times. It was overly silly at other times. I don't think they did Loki any favors and sort of undermined his overall power level, his overall equity that he'd built up over several movies was heavily and heavy-handedly undermined in the first episode of this series. So I was overall
half as long.
I was overall disappointed, or that they should have included more stuff and shortened some other scenes. I didn't like how they treated the Infinity Stones and sort of just made light of all these other sort of major things to service this new entity of the TVA and everything like that. What did you think of the first episode, Davis?
I think y'all are bitches.
Oh man, you and me are gonna go round and round.
I really enjoyed the first episode. I do understand what you're saying about knocking like the Infinity Stones down, but
dude, that little that asshat little secretary dude had no business being in the show. What a stupid ass character.
You have to have characters like that.
Does the whole show have to be like that, then?
The whole episode was about the DMV, whatever thing that he was at.
Great! I enjoyed it thoroughly.
It's so corny, though. The whole time, it's just jokes about how this place is bureaucratic.
It's
nonsense.
world building.
I appreciate the world building that they were trying to do. And I know some people have maligned and criticized the cartoon that they showed and stuff like that to explain things. I actually didn't mind the sort of the visual aid of the sacred timeline and everything like that.
It was Jurassic Park 1.
It was.
All over again.
Absolutely. Yeah, but no, it was not though.
That part was. Sure, the part with the video. That one segment. Yes,
that's
absolutely.
what I'm saying.
But to say Davis had a world building, which is complete bullshit. They didn't build a world. They built 2 rooms at the DMV.
It's a company building, episode.
Jeez, dude. They couldn't give us anything more?
I don't think... I never felt like it was slow. I was, in the episode, I wanted to know more about the TVA.
Yeah.
I wanted to know more about the Time Lords. And I was just looking for other stuff because with the MCU, there's going to be other little trinkets going on, other little teasers, Easter eggs, and you're just constantly looking for these things, and especially in a show like this where, stuff is going to drop like that. So
the one thing that MCU fans aren't looking for is a good story, though. Apparently, they're so caught up with the Easter eggs and everything like that that they lose sight of them.
I've been saying this for the last 7 years about Marvel movies, to the point where I stopped watching them, and everyone got mad at me for saying this kind of shit. But this was my.
We got mad at you for saying The Mandalorian didn't have a story, John.
I said
which it did.
I said it about the Avengers as well.
No, what you said about the Avengers, you said Captain America was just as selfish as Iron Man, and I'm still mad at you about it today. Not like I hold grudges or anything, and it thought to myself about that moment every night that I've gone to sleep since you've said it, but whatever.
This has much more of a story than Mandalorian at the moment.
True.
disagree. But
that is true.
I'm just saying that, you know, what you're talking about with, they're looking for the Easter eggs and stuff like that. Why are we more concerned with that than with an entertaining show?
I'm not.
But
like, it's still entertaining because
Marvel fans.
It is, and then you throw in
sizzle, no
Loki and
substance,
Owen Wilson's relationship. You have some other, characters that they are what they are, but
they suck.
I think they
all the other characters suck.
So I disagree with the choice of words that James used. I don't think it was slow. I just think it was devoid of meaningful story. So, like, yes, are there enough gags and little moments to fill a 45-minute episode? Yeah, like, things happen, right? But those things that are happening are complete bullshit, so they don't matter at all.
I'm happy that Davis is on here to offer a differing perspective too, so I'm going to shut up a little bit because I know I've been running hot. So Davis, tell me what you liked.
But what didn't you guys like? Like, what isn't a part? Like, what doesn't add to the story?
I didn't like how the overall treatment of the character of Loki. And there was too much silliness. There was too much undermining of the already pre-established world, like that they do in so many MCU properties, especially recently, that they feel like they need to get over the new story that they want to tell is by tearing down what they had before. So, case in point, the Infinity Stones being paperweights in the guy's drawer. That was the last most earth-shattering thing that we had to face. Now to show the gravity of what we're dealing with now is, oh wow, these are paperweights. That doesn't even matter anymore. Funny, ha, and also this is way bigger than that.
But how do you move on from the Infinity Stones?
You didn't need them at all.
No, I meant just as an audience, you've seen these.
Yeah, we dealt with them.
And now, why do you take anything else seriously if it's not bigger than that?
Because not everything is like, just because it's not the Infinity Stones doesn't mean something can't be a threat or serious.
No,
but
if you immediately trivialize the world you're building by just making jokes at the world's expense and making it look like a trip to the DMV, then of course it looks small compared to the Infinity Stones. And then within that trivializing of the world that they're in, you have to trivialize the Infinity Stones. Like, how stupid does it make the Infinity Stones look that in this stupid world that we're creating, those are stupid? Mm-hmm. So everything you watched leading up to this point is just completely thrown out the window. It's weird.
I do want to get back to what you really like, though, Davis. Like, no trolling, and I said, I'm gonna dial back because I do think a lot of people did really like it. So what did you enjoy, and then we can launch into episode 2.
No, I enjoy definitely I'm not a big Owen Wilson fan, but I do enjoy the relationship between the two, him pushing his character to figure out who he is. I did like a lot of that dialogue that they had. And that continued into episode 2. And especially for the Loki of the timeline that they took from, Avengers 1 movie, like, that's the Loki we're getting. Like, so you have to take that into effect. Is like, this particular Loki is coming from, phase 1 Marvel. And so it's very different from phase 3 Loki, where he is killed by Thanos. And so there's a very difference of those characters, and that's why I think he acts a certain way, and I think it makes a lot of sense of kind of where he's coming from.
I don't agree that he acts consistent with the way that he acted in the lead up to the Avengers, though. The Loki in the lead up to the Avengers was much more malevolent and serious than the Loki that we're getting in this show. It's not the same. It's more akin to the Loki that got killed by Thanos. And I'm not. Look, I like Tom Hiddleston as Loki. He is charming as all hell, and I love the whole shrug of the shoulders. I'd never do it again, like that. Right. I enjoy that. I am not so hard of stone that I cannot enjoy some of the sort of the silliness of this stuff, but it's when it gets to a saturation level. But I think overall, I think the agreement is, the consensus is that we like Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, though, which is good. Those are your two leads, so that's generally a good thing.
That's a good story. I do like the judge, I will say, whoever that is. I forget her name, and I know she has a little bit bigger role in the comics that I'm just not aware of because I didn't read. I know she was in 80s Thor comics and a few of the other TVA stuff, but her origination was not. I know. I think it was in the Kang the Conqueror story arcs. But I don't mind her as much. But a lot of the other characters are, you can just kind of toss and throw a little bit.
I think that I know I'm sort of beating a dead horse here, but if they tuned up the seriousness of this show, I think it could be legitimately great, because not saying it's of the same quality, but if you had a more serious version of this show, then you have Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston on like a Marvel style True Detective whodunit type chase here. That's cool. That's fun. And I feel like they showed their hand a lot in the second episode already.
They can be serious they can be silly in a serious world. But when you have those two being silly, and the world itself is kind of silly because of the fucking DMV setting, like it's well. And I want to jump into the second episode, a part of that I actually really liked that maybe is a little bit surprising, but when Loki is going through the files and that little what is she anyway? That thing, the little cartoon that he was talking to, that was almost like the Microsoft paperclip helper through the TVA.
It's a clock, yeah.
Yeah, the clock. I actually really enjoyed that. It reminded me of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And I don't know. It was a small scene, but I do like the aesthetic, and there's things that really sort of hit within that. Again, that Mad Men, Hitchhiker's Guide, and this episode, Who Framed Roger Rabbit type feel that is cool, and it's different, and it's not inherently stupid. It's just certain characters make it feel that way. But I think the best parts of this show is the chase. It's the hunt. It's the whodunit aspect of it, right, Davis?
Yeah. No, it has the CSI feel to it. Like, you're trying to figure out clues, trying to figure out whodunit, all that good stuff. And I understand where you're coming from about wanting to make this more serious, because I do see that. But I do like the fun aspects, like the clock you're talking about. Like, I do kind of like the DMV stuff. I like that they're talking about fucking jet skis in the 90s. I enjoy that, and I
missed the 90s too, so I didn't mind that.
Yeah,
Things were better in the 90s.
You for sure, on a nostalgia standpoint,
I
if it happened in the 90s, you were. Yeah.
And again, this is a show that should be, for me, as somebody that's obsessed with time travel and timelines and stuff like that, you'd think that this would be more up my alley.
And God, did I ever love where they were going back into, like, she was hiding in apocalypse zones. That was so cool to me. That was such a cool concept of, like, no, it doesn't matter that nothing's changing because everybody there dies. There's no proof of that. That's a cool concept. That was awesome to me. And Pompeii, all the future climate change issions.
Was it a little concerning to you that there's an apocalyptic event in like 2050?
No, because I would think it would be sooner. So
no, but I mean, with the Avengers around to help everything and stuff like that, it's like what happens in between? I mean, this is the sacred timeline.
If it's climate, can they control that?
I mean, Storm. What's she doing?
Greta Thunberg is the next Avenger.
Well, she doesn't need to be an Avenger. They're getting X-Men in there.
They'll probably kill them off.
What's she doing? Rescuing Mijnari? Come on.
They'll screw up the X-Men somehow. They always do.
Oh, absolutely. Again, best days are behind it.
That part was cool, and there are a lot of concepts of the show where it's just fun, and I like what they're doing with it.
What did you think about the second episode specifically? You liked the apocalyptic stuff, that hiding the. I liked the chase.
It was
Loki
strong,
and Mobius working the case.
Stronger than the first. Loki is like trying to push the envelope with Mobius about like how he's gonna help, and I like that they don't make Mobius a dope. Like he can kind of like read into it, and he can like read through Loki's bullshit a little bit. So that's good, and you need that. You want to see Loki put in check a little bit.
I totally get what you're saying. When they go to the Ren Fair, though, and Loki, it was just so hammy. His whole like expect the expected because that makes it unexpected kind of deal was just so hokey and poorly done, in my opinion. To where it's like, why did we even have this scene done that way? I don't know. I think some of the execution was lacking. I do think the second episode was better than the first, though.
Yeah,
I think more took place. We're starting to get on the chase. I think that they revealed too much with spoiler alert, everybody, with Lady Loki at the end of this episode. I don't know. Feels like I could have used a whole nother episode of them sort of working the case together.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting 6 episodes.
Yes, so and they wasted episode 1.
We're a third of the way through, and we know who we're chasing now. And it was, and honestly, everybody knew after episode 1 it was a female Loki. It was already like it was obvious. So there was and I think they probably knew that. And so let's get out of the way. Let's get into what we need to. Let's go. And we'll find out a little bit more next week if that was the right choice or not. But
that's a fair point. I mean, it was pretty much expected. I think that the delivery of that was pretty poor. Like, look at Lady Loki in the comics. Compared to Lady Loki that they're giving us in this show, how underwhelming, in my opinion, was that? What? I was so disappointed. She sucks.
She's like Karen Loki.
Yeah, seriously. Why can't you give us the Loki from the Lady Loki from the comics, which, by the way, is a relatively new comic in convention as well. But if you're going to go that route for #reasons, give us the one from the comics.
She's
much badass and
she's much
sexy
darker.
As hell.
She's dark. They're both sexy. Let's give them that. But it's like
heroes don't do that.
She has a darker, sexier tone to her.
A more Loki vibe.
Yeah, and just like she just has just more of like you're saying, it's just that vibe, that feeling of like this one feels like she's probably gonna give you oranges after a soccer practice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's got her Costco card holster.
Yeah, she's gonna pull up in that minivan and she's ready to take you somewhere.
But we end the episode with Loki going through the little time portal with her, so we'll see where that goes. But again, I could have used another episode of Loki and Mobius building that bond of actually working together, so that when he does sort of abandon him, seemingly, that you feel the weight of it a bit more. And I get that they sort of wasted the whole first episode of them not doing that. Like, you could have included them going back to that Ren Fair in the first episode. You know, I know they wanted to have the cliffhanger thing with Loki lighting him on fire or whatever, but I don't know. It's been oddly paced so far.
Yeah, you could have had one more like clue building episode, I guess, of like, okay, she's hiding in the apocalyptic zones, and then there's B that she's doing, and like you said, just more relationship building between the two. But I don't know. Do you need that with Loki, who is going to portray him? Again, it's a character that you can you're already expecting these things. Like, is he actually going to get close to anybody? It doesn't make sense to me. So maybe you don't need that.
Yeah, I mean that's one argument. I still don't think that he's really overall acting like the Loki from the phase 1 of the MCU. So far, do you think this is where would you rank it as sort of the start to WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Oh man, that's a good question. Going off 2 episodes in on each of those series.
I mean, just overall, your overall feeling like about it right now. Trying to put as much recency bias aside is because I thought coming into this, I thought this one had the best chance to be something really cool, and it was what I won't say it was what I was most excited about because I love Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So like I was definitely more excited about that. That was just an absolute dumpster fire of a show. But I did think that this had a chance to be good too, because I mean, God, Tom Hiddleston, everybody loves Loki. So
this one
I had higher expectations for this than I did for WandaVision for sure. And after I watched an episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, I had high expectations for this than I did for Falcon and Winter Soldier.
This one actually had the most hype for me. Of the 3, I was most excited for this show. After Falcon and Winter Soldier, I pretty much forgot this was coming out. Because I was just like, meh, all right. We're just releasing these shows now. I'll watch them as they come. But I will say that this is probably a short right after WandaVision for me. I'll put WandaVision first. I'll go Loki second, then Falcon Winter Soldier. But I think it's very close with Wanda at this moment, and a far third for Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Yeah, bury that thing. I do think that again, this has a chance to. I mean, we only have 4 episodes left, but episode 2 was better than episode 1. So maybe episode 3 will be better than both of those. Sounds like I'm at the Star Wars prequels again. I was disappointed by the 3rd episode. Any other parting shots about Loki episode 2, Davis, that you really enjoyed or, that stood out to you? I'm glad that you agree with me about Lady Loki. God, what a disappointment. Give me the one from the comic books.
Yeah, that is...
It's like Baroness in a Loki outfit. What's not to like?
She was underwhelming, to say the least. And I definitely was not expecting a blonde.
Just not menacing at all.
Like, who is this? It's like you're on Family Matters or what's
Growing Pains?
Yeah, I mean, you're on like an 80s sitcom mom show. You're just pouring juice boxes.
We're back in WandaVision again.
Who is this girl?
Yeah.
I hope they kind of pull like a. Oh yeah, no, I was just hiding in that body. This is the real female Loki. Don't
hold your breath.
I'm not.
I guess that's the other issue though, is that Owen Wilson and Loki, I mean, they're the stars, but all the other side characters, I disagree with you. I don't think there's really much substance there with anybody else besides Loki and Mobius.
I don't think there's substance. I'm just saying I don't mind the Judge. I think she has potential later on.
You heard it here first. Ringing endorsement. I don't mind the Judge. There it is, folks. As far as I'm concerned, my 3rd favorite character on the show is that little animated clock. It's adorable. I would legitimately have that as a desk ornament. And that's probably going to be a Comic-Con exclusive at some point. You guys better cut me in on that deal.
A little con-exclusive.
A little con-exclusive. That is going to do it for this very wild edition of the Best Damn Nerd Show. It may seem like I hate everything, but I love all of you in the nerdosphere. Have a great week, everyone. Remember, if you're a nerd, always say it loud and say it proud.